You don't come here.
You can't be seen if you sit on that one.
That's also positive, to be honest.
Okay, 3 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, ready to start the meeting? Okay. Right. Item 1, we've got no apologies, have we?
To elect a chair.
Yeah, item was to elect a chair.
I would propose Councillor Franklin.
I would second that.
Happy with that? Yeah, Norman, you're happy with that? I'll carry on chairing. Thank you. Item
That's good.
No, any apologies. Item 3, declaration of interest. To receive any declaration of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda.
Well, you all know that I live next door to Georgina's property,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's
Non-
meant to have any.
It's non-pecuniary.
It's non-pecuniary, but I just wanted everybody to be clear about that.
Yeah, okay.
And I sometimes park my car in her garden.
And I do.
And I can't find it anywhere else.
Item 5.
I'm going to get it out again.
Item 5, right.
Yeah.
Activities of the working group. Members are invited to agree the sequence of activities for the working group, attachment 1. So this is from the hall.
Chair, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
can I just talk through this, because this is absolutely core to what, I believe this working group is about, because I haven't seen a written remit for the working group or any delegated powers or any previous minutes of meetings or anything. So this working group has got a number of themes, and you'll see at the top Sandwich Town Council, because there are a number of blue and red and golden milestones there, and that's really to demonstrate that Sandwich Town Council will remain in control of everything that's kind of the working group is doing, there to approve the key decisions. And most importantly, Georgina said that her house was to be used if practical, so there was that caveat. So what that line there shows is the practicality decisions, and I've shown an initial decision and a full decision, and then an ongoing annual decision, so that the council remains in control. I think that's really important. And then for the working group, there are a number of work streams. The first one is the charity, to draft the constitution of the charity, to agree the trustees, to register the charity, to agree the investment strategy, because it might be, there are options there, to agree the governance arrangements as to how any grants are given out, and to then, on an ongoing basis, to receive and approve any grant payments. The second stream for the working group to deal with is the executor. So I think there is a need to get an estate administration status from the executor and to report to Sandwich Town Council. And I believe these first two streams are something, that Councillor Gray should lead on, in terms of establishing the charity and dealing with the executor. The third stream is the financial investments, because we've already received some money, and it's for the RFO and I think the mayor at the moment, but we can talk a bit more about that, to oversee where the monies are invested and to manage the costs that are incurred and to report on a monthly basis. And then the next kind of work stream is, Georgina's wishes were that Bay Hall becomes a hub for the community. So I think there are a number of steps there. The first step being we need to confirm and get written evidence that there is a demand for the organisations of Sandwich to use the property. So I've got a draft survey is included in the pack following this meeting and following approval from the council to issue that. We can update it. The organisations can then confirm their need, and when they've done so, we can analyse the results and report to the council.
Can I just say that there are a lot of other things other than organisations that would be able to
Yeah,
use.
I was going to bring it up in a bit when we start. If we start at the top, we go back through.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, no, I understand that because, you know, it's left to the community organisations, whoever they are, and, you know, that's maybe part of the charitable trust to identify the categories of organisations. But once we understand what the demand is, because, and how long people are going to use it, is it once a week, is it once a month, is it once a year, is it for 2 hours or 4 hours or an evening, what is the demand? We can then think about the different schemes that could be applied. It could be as simple as a quick makeover of what's there, let's call it a 1-star theme, star upgrade, to a 5-star upgrade, which is all singing, all dancing, totally environmentally friendly with solar panels. And until we understand what the demand is, because if the demand is very weak, the Sandwich Town Council might say, well, it's really not practical to have this property and to spend all of this time and effort overseeing this property if we've only got the Gaze and Salts gardeners going in, or you know somebody, if the property is not being used as Georgina would have wished. So once we understand what the demand is, we can then get the architect to develop some feasibility studies. We can then and we can also develop the management arrangements. How is the property going to be managed? Who's going to clean it and so forth? And then we can develop a business case, get confirmation on the planning permission and so forth. Sorry about this. And then undertake the building modifications after they've been approved by the council, when we've got a proper estimate of how much the work is going to cost and so forth. And then it would go into initial operations and annual operations. And then the final stream is the property maintenance. We need to maintain the property until such time as any builders are going in to do any modification. If indeed it is builders, it could just be volunteers who are painting. We don't know at this stage. And in order to inform that, we need to get, well, Colin Wilde suggested we get a condition survey so that we know if there's any damp or whatever about the building that needs to be done. So that's the sequence of activities that I'm proposing that this working group adopt, and I'd be pleased to discuss any comments or make any changes.
Can we go back to the top then?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, before we start, can we jump to where is it? Item 9, so we can co-opt Margaret on before we start discussing. If that's okay with you.
Yes, everyone's happy with that.
So we can co-opt Margaret on, and then we can have a discussion about the layout.
Yeah.
If that's all right for everybody else.
Yeah, and Margaret's involvement will be confirmed at full council.
Yeah. Yes.
So then, yeah. Okay.
Could I ask that Councillor Zucker is also co-opted at the next full council meeting?
There's been a bit of confusion.
Is he not?
I think it's my fault. I think I overcopied the previous
Is he
agenda.
already a member of the working group?
Yeah, there's confusion with town clerk is
She's
unsure
given
about this.
she's given clarification.
Yeah.
I would like to be involved. I am a neighbour. I'm not next door. I'm a couple of doors down.
Yeah.
My particular interest is that I've got no vested interest in who occupies and uses the property. I'm really interested about the governance in terms of a journey that we get to that. So that's where I would add value for the period, and it may not be for the duration of the working group. So that's why I would like to get involved. And the town clerk says, I can get involved as long as you say, okay, here today, and she'll ratify it alongside yourself at the next meeting.
Okay.
She's at this capacity.
You're listed
you
as a
t-
councillor on the agenda, but you weren't on the original.
No, I did a bit of digging, and I went to her and said, I think I might have been the slides.
So who was the original? It was Councillor Carter, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
So
he's the side dean.
Right, so
So I
you're
left a
taking
space
I think
there.
Councillor Carter was on it originally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Graham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Sounds a bit all correct.
Do we need to vote, do we need to
So I
vote on a recommendation?
I propose Councillor Suker and Margaret, so I don't know the surname of it, Thomas, to be co-opted onto the committee.
Yeah, I think we'll say that.
Thank you.
Okay, right, item at the top there. This draft constitution, well, that's down to Nicholas, you involved with that, we draft the constitution, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I could. I don't know whether I really I can take on the responsibility of drafting a constitution for the church. I'm not a practicing lawyer. I have no indemnity insurance. If I make a mistake, and it goes all wrong, I can't take that
So you might have to get,
responsibility. So we do need somebody.
could the clerk do it?
No, we did discuss at the previous working party, we discussed an organisation, I can't remember who it was, could you remember? Who we said we could get to incorporate a charity for us.
Councillor Graham suggested somebody, so
Yes.
we might have that minuted somewhere, but I can't recall it at the moment.
Yeah.
Shall we get an outside body?
I mean, we
for
could,
legal vote?
I really,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just can't,
No,
I cannot take on that
no.
responsibility.
To be clear, it wasn't in my mind that you would
No.
do that, but
Okay.
what was in my mind was that you would lead on this
Yeah,
stream of work in
yeah.
terms of
I will,
overseeing all of
yeah,
that work.
I will do that, and I will suggest to the council, an organisation
Yeah.
who to incorporate a charity for us.
And this is a substantial fund, and it would be
Yes.
important that we set it on the right track
Absolutely
and
right.
get the foundations correct, and that way you can then run the business effectively in the future.
See, the idea,
If we can find out who that was, we can
Yeah.
look at that.
so the idea is really the working group then becomes like the management committee. So we just carry on under a new name. And then the,
But the next item on your list after the draft constitution is agreeing with trustees, and I think that is something which probably we need a discussion about at some stage.
yeah.
As to who should be the trustees. It was considered earlier when we discussed it that the trustees should be the whole council, like Tollbridge Fund, but I'm not sure whether that is actually appropriate here. And I think it would be better not to have the whole council. I would prefer it not to be the whole council, and I would prefer us to consider having some outside trustees.
Well, the cooperative could be the outside trustees, couldn't they?
A co-operative would be trustees.
Yeah.
The only complication with that is that the property and the shares were left to Sandwich Town Council, so I don't know if that forms some sort of breach
What
of.
if you would have, so they can't be
Well, I
trustees.
don't know.
If you read Georgina's will, it says in a number of places at the sole discretion of Sandwich Town Council.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure that having external people as trustees would actually be in accordance with her wishes.
Could I also ask, we don't have a future vision, do we, at the moment, in terms of what's going to happen? So we've got a property, we've got some money. That might, in the end, be just a fund rather than a property and money.
Yeah.
So wouldn't the choice of constituting as a group of trustees be really dependent on how we might run the fund in the future? So if, for example, you had a building that you wanted to run, that might influence some of the membership of the trustees. I'm just playing that in and saying something might rush ahead with a group of trustees, and we might feel in retrospect it wasn't the right choice.
No, we're cheap at the moment to the full council.
Yeah.
And we can always tweak, can't we?
Well, at the moment, it should only be a full council, or should be a group of council.
Yeah.
Well, that then leads us to this working group having a delegated remit from the full council to be able to do that. And to be quite honest, at the moment, until we get things moving a bit further, I think the proposal to leave the discussion about the trustees and registering, these are the things which are shown later on in the sequence.
Yeah, in the future.
Yeah.
The executive is still working that out at the moment, aren't they? The solicitors with the.
In terms of the executor, I think what I would like to propose is that Councillor Gray reviews the file that's been received from Williamson and of all of the correspondence from Williamson and Barnes, because it's nearly 2 years now since Georgina died, and normally executors have about a year after the person has died to realise the estate. Now there might be some complications, but as Sandwich Town Council, is the substantial beneficiary, I think it would be appropriate, for Councillor Gray to draft a letter, write to them, and go and visit them and get a.
It's in my view, it certainly would. I mean, I've won up hundreds of estates in my time, and I've never known executors to be as unhelpful as would have the part of being. It's now nearly 18 months since probate was granted, and as far as I know, there's absolutely no reason why. If there is a reason why they can't distribute the estate, they should be telling us why they're not.
Do you know
Sorry,
what
Karen.
happens?
Sorry, I believe, sorry.
Do you know what happened to things like the rings that I took, the cameras,
Which
all that
auction,
thing?
all sold,
They were all sold at
all
auction.
money all put in the pot.
Oh right, we know that they were sold at a decent rate now.
No idea, it just went to auction.
Oh right.
What about all their photographs?
I don't know how to photograph cameras.
I believe that the main problem is that Georgina kept shares in paper form, and this is very unusual, and I think it's caused the investment company who are holding these shares and trying to get to the bottom of things. I think it's causing a huge delay, and I'm not sure that it's Williamson Barnes' fault. I think that is caused by these paper shares.
Yeah, she had
But they should be explaining that to us. They should
Transparent
tell us that.
Because most companies, if you do lose the share certificate, there is a recourse that would normally only take a couple of months, I guess, to be able to get, substitute
I
shares.
used to bank for her, dividends. I mean, there were so many different ones, and there were some from things in Africa that were literally pence, and she wouldn't bank the cheques because she always said they cost more to bank the cheque than that was valuable. So there are probably quite a lot of shares like that aren't really worth anything.
Yes.
But she had blue chip shares. She had shares in Kraft and AstraZeneca and all those big, and they would have
I think we've got
backup.
them.
Yeah.
I think we've got those ones.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit.
Unusual ones.
The little bits were like sort of funny little mines in South Africa and but they literally, we get a cheque for 29p for a year's dividend. I mean, she just said go back that, it cost me 65p to bank it.
Well, the concern obviously it would be that Williamson and Barnes, as the executors, are spending time, and the fees that they're spending are greater than the value of the shares.
Yes, absolutely.
This could well happen. They ought to tell us what the situation is.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in their
the
shoes, you would know exactly what is going on. And the executors are a duty to the beneficiary. Once probate is granted, the estate in effect belongs to the beneficiaries. And they ought to be telling us what's happening, tell us what the question is. And they may say it's just not worth pursuing
Yes.
a great lump of,
That's right, yeah.
of shares, in which case they should say to us, look, it's going to cost us more
Yeah.
to collect this
Yeah.
than you're going to get from it.
Mm.
We have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
Bit like a
I'm
similar
really-
problem that's outside currently, isn't it? That we're not getting to know what's going on and
Yeah.
no answers being
Yeah,
asked.
I'm just really
So
surprised.
maybe in part of that email, part of the letter that's sent to the executives to say that we want to know this by
Yeah.
certain dates. We can put them back to the working group.
Yeah.
Okay, so the proposal is, I'd like to propose that Councillor Gray reviews the file with Karen,
Yeah.
and that Karen and Councillor Gray drafts a letter to Williamson and Barnes with a view to having a meeting with them, perhaps Councillor Gray and the responsible
Correct.
finance officer. The two of you go to their offices, have a meeting and get a complete update and report back.
I just want to declare that I am actually a personal friend of the person that's dealing with this
Right.
at Williamson Barnes, so I don't think I should be
No.
involved.
Okay.
But rather the
Nicola
interim
Hooper.
clerk took over that.
Okay.
position.
Yeah, maybe the town clerk would do. That's Nicola Hooper. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a financial reasons out on here, isn't it?
Okay, so you're going to write to them first and ask for a meeting.
Yeah, perhaps.
I would do,
Yeah,
yes.
perhaps an appointment.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Georgina, can I just say, that Georgina did keep very good records, because when I spoke to Nicola, no, it wasn't to Jonathan at one stage, they felt that she hadn't paid all due tax,
Yes.
but she was very, very sharp. Apart from that last year, her tax returns were the most important thing, and she dealt with them, and she was in contact with the tax office and paid in out huge amounts of money. So I know she was very much on top of it. I don't think there was years and years of slipped and missed
Oh, no,
things.
taxes paid.
No, yeah,
They thought
oh,
that
that's good, because they did tell me they thought it wasn't, so
No, it was,
at one
because
stage.
this was paid.
Oh,
No, I don't know where that came from.
No.
about
No.
this
No.
potential huge,
There's
huge
those rumours,
potential
wasn't there?
tax bill
Yeah.
returned about
Yeah,
this.
it was.
And then
Yeah.
where it came from.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we won't put that in the notes.
No.
Okay.
Very good with it.
Okay, are we happy now to move off the executor
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
move on to the next set, which is the financial investments? And Karen, would you like to speak to this and take a lead on this work stream?
Yes, I mean, I have been already, and there is an item on here which sort of moves that investment theme on.
Yeah, I think we should do that 12 months, do you?
So, I don't know if you want to speak to that
I
item
think we
now.
should, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's item 7, isn't it?
The company EFG Paris All Day are holding these shares that we were given in January 2023. So they've been holding them for us since then, and we tried to set up an investment, an interim investment account with them so that we could start receiving sort of the benefit of having them before the charity was set up. And a couple of months down the line, they contacted me and said that they cannot open the execution only account, which they had told me they could, and they want to change it to a discretionary investment management account. But the terms of that would be that we would have to keep the shares with them for a year before transferring them to the charity. I've written down here the terms of that account. So 12 months, and then commission would be 0.6%. So they're not offering us the original execution account. The reason I thought this was important was because I thought that we wouldn't, Sandwich Town Council wouldn't receive any benefit of having these shares until we actually have an account open, and therefore we'll be waiting since January to get this account open.
But surely any dividend that were attributable to those shares would still, wouldn't be lost.
No.
Oh, yes.
We don't know that. No, I'd have to contact them and ask them. I don't know.
Well, I can't imagine that it would be
I
lost.
can't imagine it would be anything else. They're just holding them on our behalf.
Yeah.
So we would be entitled to any dividends they have come from it. So we need to check that.
Yeah. But so the question is, do we want to still go ahead with having a holding account with them, or do we want to just leave them in whatever account they've got them at the moment at whatever conditions that entails?
Can I just ask a question, Karen? Sorry. So the account we have, the account we have currently for the money that we've had already, is that within the Thomas fund, or is that a separate account altogether?
No, the cash that we receive is in the Sandwich Town Council account.
Right.
We spent something in the region of £3,000 on insurance, gas, council tax for the last financial year, so we've got a little bit less brought forward, about 206,000, and we've also got a budget of £7,000 set up for this year's expenses.
Right.
But yeah, that's in the name of Sandwich Town Council.
Yeah, because I think we should go for this just for this interim 12-month period, isn't it?
It depends how long we think it might take to set up a charity.
Yes.
It'll take probably 3 months to set a charity up.
So-
at the moment.
Yeah. So just recapping, the money's sitting.
The money sitting with EFG Harris all day, in I assume some sort of holding account.
And they're saying that, are they saying they're happy to keep it there?
They're happy to open an account for us, but I don't know how long they're happy to keep it in that holding account.
Yes, that, for me, that's good.
That's what
This
we
is since we
need.
tie into 12 months, we're tied into 12 months, so,
And the interest rate's not particularly
well,
good, isn't it?
If they're happy just to hold it as they are at the moment,
get
then I
charity
think
set
we
up.
should
Sorry.
leave it.
Can I be clear, are they holding cash or shares?
Yeah.
So they're holding shares, so
Yes.
the interest rate is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So as long as they're holding shares and the dividends are accruing, provided
Yeah.
the management fee for it isn't unreasonable.
That's what we also need to
I
know.
think we should leave it as it is,
Yeah, leave it
if they're
there.
happy to do that.
Yeah.
Is there a management fund?
Yeah.
Is there some fee? Is there a management fee for them holding it for us?
Yes,
They-
there
It would
is.
be a percentage.
They haven't
Did we check?
told us the management fee for holding it, they've only told us the fees for actually opening an
Removed it,
account,
yes.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should think that even if we move it to another stockbroker or whatever, there'd be
There
a
will
fee.
There will be. I think, Karen, it's just about a couple of questions, making sure that when somebody finds themselves in, so for example, if we leave it a couple of months, we're fine, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Then they say, sorry, no, it's got to go into it, we then, it's a 14-month hold.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's quite full.
And just, you're going to double check that the impact on any dividends, that we would still be entitled to dividends.
Yeah.
So those are kind of two actions.
It's your family.
But yeah, I've got a lot of them.
We do all of this, if we're in this,
We will,
do all of those.
yes, yeah. The end, attachment 3, the second page,
Yeah.
we need to resolve these 3 issues. Signatories.
Councillor Carter is
Councillor Carter and...
Councillor Franklin, Councillor Gray, Councillor Carter and Councillor Marie
Right,
are on the paperwork.
right, okay.
But if we're not opening an account with them, I guess it doesn't
No,
matter.
they don't, that's all the case. Yeah. But if we do open it, well, we can decide it at the time, can't we? So can we just leave that one?
Yeah, maybe we can can we decide at full council, or would you want to do it with another working group?
Well, I don't see any reason why Councillor Carter shouldn't remain as one of the signatories, to be quite honest, because if we're moving any monies or anything like that, I think he should be informed.
So if we do opt to take the investment account, then we'll leave him as
Yes,
the
yes,
signatory.
yeah. Well, 3 and 4 don't apply now.
Can I just,
Councillor
sorry,
Alison first.
just taking some live feedback from the people watching, and there are people watching. If you could just speak a bit louder, the sound is pretty poor.
Okay. We're not shouting at one another.
No shouting.
Item 3 and item 4.
Yeah, I think we've done that, haven't we?
We just put on hold.
Hold them, yeah.
Because we're not opening
Yeah.
a discretionary managed account. Okay.
Okay. I suppose we talked about another, we'll talk to the microphone as well.
Yeah.
It will get better in the future.
Yeah, we get the system up. So we're going here in front of it. Okay, walk up.
Okay. So you will have seen attached to the agenda is a proposed questionnaire to go out to various organisations. Shall we just kind of walk through that? I'm not able to put that on the screen. Could you?
The questionnaire, yes.
Yeah, could you share with?
Better on an iPad, obviously.
The only thing I could say is at the moment it's just organisation, but it happens in individuals, not the hierarchy.
This is where what I've been looking at. Obviously societies and groups, but I spoke to a couple of shopkeepers like the florist, and she would like to run workshops there. We could have children's parties. It's obviously would be a lovely learning centre for gays and sorts. And all these sort of exercise type groups, they run small groups. On Facebook, the people are always advertising, their yoga or their Pilates or that type of thing. Small meetings. I mean, our meeting here, for example, could be at Bay Hall, if you like.
It's handy for the RFO to be here today.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
The
small meetings. And I was thinking too, garden parties, small fetes, because the garden is lovely. And small musical events. We've got that fabulous piano, and to buy a new one of those is about 18 grand. If we had that tuned, I'm sure there are small groups. I mean, sitting around with that sort of thing.
I think it won't be restricted.
So that's what I'm saying.
For anyone in the community, won't it?
Yeah, there's lots of things
Yeah.
that could be useful, not just.
I quite agree, and thanks for saying that, Margaret. I think in my mind, if we can agree to have this survey to actually get some evidence of the demand, and we make it available to organisations, we publicise it on the website, we make copies available at reception here so people and companies can come in and fill it out and submit it, so that we've got a real community picture.
And
absolutely,
we don't
and not
charge too
restricted. And I honestly, from Sandwich Town Council and other charities, if they want to use it, you know, shouldn't be restricted. So.
I've got here, which the jury is sending you, I've got a list of current clubs and groups in Sandwich, which is 2 pages.
Okay.
And I think those, I'll let you have that,
Yeah.
Peter.
Thank you very much. If you've got a soft copy of it, that would help.
They are who we should be, amongst all the your list, we should be sending them to those people.
I think we should also have 2 open days. I think we have an open day in the week so the schools can come and visit us, and an open day on a Saturday so those people that are working can come and visit us. We did that with the Fisher Games, remember? We did it on a Saturday, but because we want to use this for education, like the games and assault, anyone to do like environmental studies. I mean, some of our students want to come on Saturday, but I just thought they could come on, and if we get some of us, we could go up 10 till 4 o'clock. We'll just go down and we can just open it up and show people.
Absolutely. As part of this, organisations confirming the need that we have open days.
We've got those that currently have got,
That would be a very good idea.
Yeah.
Are there any health and safety implications?
Yes, so these are some of the things, Karen, that I flagged up. So I've looked at the questionnaire and I think it's really good, and I think it will whet people's appetites. The only issue I've got, and it's an issue, not a problem, is making sure we don't run ahead of this in the sense of the appetite that people will, and expanding it is really good, because I think actually what we should do is protect what Georgina wanted, which ideally is to use her home as a hub. That's really where we should try and end up. And therefore that it generates as much interest and we can see if the demand is there. But moving from a home to a facility that services, and with all, there's loads of suggestions, there is a cost as a minimum, but there's also, is it practical in terms of property? And it's just about how we factor that in. Peter, is key to me, is making sure that what we do is don't overestimate what it could be used for. Let's do something that actually people...
We start minimal and work up.
Well, I'm happy if the demand is great, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
But actually...
It's an empty building, so we can start...
Is it a building that's not falling down? Is it a building that health and safety will not come in and say, well, you can't get 20 people in? It's all about, and how you factor out Peter in some of this. It's making sure early enough on in the process we look at that aspect.
We'll have to get a fire, you generally get a lot of public good, you have to get a fire.
No, I was just gonna say that Councillor Suker's absolutely right. We have to start from the ground up regarding looking at it in cases like asbestos, etc. Then we're going to have to look to see if the health and safety come in. We're going to have fire alarms put in, sprinkler systems put in, emergency exits from the top and down as well.
Disabled access, and proper lighting outside, all of those things. And fire retardant on any curtains and stuff like that to get it a fire certificate. All of those things need to be done. It's not just a question of people walking in. Very conscious of that, and though that is a basic requirement, but depending upon the level of demand and if people want, if there's going to be more people going, well then rooms would need to be knocked in together.
Flexible.
The ceiling, opened out.
Well, I think they keep it down the rooms.
Well, there's
Well,
all sorts.
Because we don't want to compete with the Phoenix Centre, do we, too much?
But there are options, Jeff, in terms of how you can change the layout of the building, taking account of costs. It can be flexible, it can be partitions, so there are ways moving from small to large, and I think you might have mentioned that somewhere in
We could put a large conservatory on the back, couldn't we, where a little conservatory is? An orangery. That's in the future.
There's lots of things.
I'm sure that when we start talking to insurance companies, these things which they will demand, won't they?
Absolutely, and that's why we do need to have a qualified architect who's going to take responsibility and put their PI on the line for actually designing any modifications. So it's very helpful that Colin Wiles has proposed this Jill Griffiths, who's kind of an architect who's retired, and she's arranged or agreed to come along on the 20th of June at 9:30 to do a condition survey, just to set out some stuff, and everybody's invited to come along, and join in that.
I think one step at a time. The one thing is seeing if the building's viable.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Can I ask, do we have to have a change of use?
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be a planning commission, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, I just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Yeah, currently the building has very, very basic insurance, so it won't have public liability insurance or anything for any visits or anything like that.
Okay.
We're up for an open day, just having people come out.
I think that would be sensible.
I think we need to check
We check that.
with that, I'm sorry, I mean, or just notify people that
They come up
that
their
they
own.
have a counsellor not liable for
I-
any.
And I think, sorry, I'm sorry that we are sort of solutionising, which always, I try to slap myself to not do that. But I think Peter's question is really good, and I think that will flush out some demand. And I think then maybe something like, as Jeff mentions, an open day and an awareness where we can invite along somebody we think actually are really interested and just give us a feel for the building. I think that would be really sensible to do.
If we did that with official day, there'd be a bit.
Because some people will say actually
It's not suitable. Yeah, if I know there's a teacher, there's always, I can have classes in, I think, we don't want to say you can book up every day of the week for his students, special needs students, I think.
Yeah.
You could do, say, a morning or so for the local children.
Okay, so are there any other comments on the draft questionnaire?
I think it's very good indeed.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I really do, well done.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm just slightly worried that lots of small organisations are going to get very excited about being able to use it, and Sandwich Town Council haven't got the staff to manage it.
Yeah.
After it might be too costly.
Okay, now, I understand that, and I think from where I'm coming from on this, Georgine has obviously left a substantial amount of money, and I would like to think that the dividends from that would self-fund this, and I know Margaret has volunteered, to help with the organisation and the running of the building. And there is something I'd like to come to later on under the finance, under any other business, in respect to, the implication on Sandwich Town Council, because, I think we've all got to recognise that in her kindness, Georgina has imposed a lot more work on Sandwich Town Council.
I'm Carol.
She could have done, yes.
I was going
All
to
right.
really wilted when I was coming.
How are you?
So can I then propose that I finish off with and draft a covering letter to go with this questionnaire, and with instructions about publicising it and making it available on the website and everything. Everybody happy with that?
There's a few more. What I'll do is I'll email you a couple more organisations I'd like to see if you haven't got
Is
them.
there
there's-
any more organisations that do you know of?
You could just email you, can't you?
Dean, that list isn't complete.
No.
You may well find some other.
Yeah, the nostalgic
Yeah,
sandwich
yeah,
was one of those missing off there.
We could put a gym there, couldn't we, for the older people and things like that, couldn't we? A lot of the people said that now, you go to Charlton, they've got a beautiful outside gym.
Yeah, shove that in the garden.
Yeah, around, yeah.
I mean, the one thing, there is a bit of parking.
Even Wales got some equipment in their little place at work.
Yeah, they have.
Okay. So if I take an action then for the next working group meeting to finalise the questionnaire and the draft letter that's going to go with it, and the draft notice and so on. Yeah.
Can you take that to the council?
I think that's go to the council, won't it?
Yeah.
Should it go to the
Yeah,
council? Should it go to the
A letter
council?
and a questionnaire as an item on
Yeah.
the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a big agenda one day.
Okay?
Be a long meeting.
I think we need official permission from the council to actually go into the building as well, don't we, have our own key?
I've got some,
At the moment we don't, do we?
no,
We do, we go with the caretaker when we go.
yeah.
So, just like going, with the architect. We might want to go with, might recommend someone else, like specialist to go in, if there's anything. That might be an asbestos ceiling, we might have to go in again and just check the ceilings.
Yeah, well, I think the garage is certainly has
The
both.
garage,
Yeah.
the garage house, that needs to be
Yeah.
properly taken
Yeah.
down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that would also give more parking space,
Yeah, so,
intended.
The ceilings in a bad way in places too, aren't they?
oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't think she actually have much maintenance done.
How will we go about obtaining our own key? We have to ask the town council. If we wanted a key. At the moment we have to ask the caretakers, don't we?
I'll have to check.
Check,
that.
because insurance, yeah.
I don't know, the answer to that, but I'll check.
Check, yeah. We want to make sure, we don't want people go around and say, oh, you should have been in there, because we might have an asbestos specialist and all of a sudden they're poking about, and what's he doing in there?
And then finally, there is the general maintenance that's needed on the property. So I'm hoping that once the architect has been around, the architect will say these are the things that need to be done in the next few months.
Mainly outside and windows and things.
Can I add to that staffing? Do we need greater staffing? Because currently we don't have enough staff to run this building. We need some sort of
That's what I
to
think.
build that in if we're going to be looking after the building.
I think at the moment we're just looking at maybe the Birkin would go in. There will be a staffing. What are the caretakers? You mean? Because at the moment we were talking about getting builders into contracts. They might be doing.
Maybe it'd be an idea to have get a set of keys and have a sign in and out book kind of thing of who they are, why they've got the keys, kind of thing, and say you're liable for any.
At the moment it's just getting people to look at it and it
That's
getting
what I
cost.
mean,
Especially if we'll have to get three quotes for any work, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think we haven't
we-
always got the caretakers in to go around with it. One of us could go in with it. That's what I'm trying to save time.
We do need to get the grass cut though, because it's looking neglected, and I'm very concerned that,
I was just going to ask about what's happening about the grass.
it had been agreed that it would be mown, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
I think it all
We had to get
fell
three
apart.
quotes, didn't we? I think we was going to agree to have Georgina's contractors to carry on.
I'll check.
Check.
It's just that it is looking so overgrown
It
now
really
that I'm
does need
concerned
to-
that people will
They
start.
do know the site, don't they, Georgina's
They know the
contractors?
site, they know what needs doing,
Yeah.
and they were very efficient, and I don't think they were particularly expensive.
Has anyone spoken to the Gays and Salts volunteers? See if they're
Well,
willing to do it?
It's too
They've
much
all
of
been
them.
round
Too
and
much.
had a look at it, but
It's a large pack, it
There's
really
it's
is.
on Gallows Hill at the moment.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, what I would suggest then, if we agree that the contractor can go back in and do it,
Yeah.
I'll put together a scope of gardening services that we can go out for tender long term, so we just get them in the short term for the next few months.
Yeah.
I think otherwise it's just going to
Yeah.
look, the
Yeah,
place is
it has-
looking,
it has to-
the place is
We'll
looking.
get vandalised.
It
Yeah.
has got to be
That's
done.
what I'm really,
Yeah.
I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or squatters, or,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
Okay. And Karen, would you be able to formally issue that to local contractors, local gardening
Yes,
service
for myself
companies?
or Jill, yes.
Yes.
did you say we suggested that the people that know it first will?
Oh yes, yeah, we can put them on the list. You know, we get the Georgina's company in for the first few months while we run this procurement exercise.
If there's still a shortage of caretakers, I'm sure one of us working group members would go around there.
You see, I'm quite happy to
Yeah.
clean and keep
I've really
the eye in
shortage
place
of people at the moment.
open and shut it, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Is that right?
As long as people understand there's no insurance for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's fine.
It's like the contract tomorrow, you might open up so they can use the toilet or something, might you?
mm.
The,
Do you
yeah,
have to use give basic facilities?
but the contractors and things, that they will have their own insurance.
Yeah.
So we won't have to worry about them.
It's just
Yeah.
a general public.
It's just general public going in.
We've got to offer them a toilet though. haven't we?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if the water's still on.
That's
Yeah.
one of us just
We get
alluding to.
bills.
You get bills, but it can't be very much.
But it's a standing charge.
I think the neighbours using the hose.
He's always
Do you know he's got his electricity
he's always
plugged
watering
in?
his garden, yeah.
5 o'clock this morning I was out there.
I didn't like to say anything, but. Dear. I think it's cool.
All right. So are we saying we're all generally happy with the sequence of activities
Yeah.
shown on this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can
We've
move
done
on,
the real
Mr.
work.
Chair.
We can go to item 8 now, can't we? We've
Yeah.
done 7.
Yeah.
There's some feedback at the town council meeting. Councillor Wiles suggested that we get planning, that we consult with Dover. I've sent a message to Dover planning department and got an automated response from them. And they, in order to get them to advise about a potential change of use, there is a fee. And I've been trying to get clarification from them as to how much that fee is. I've tried a couple of times to phone up the number shown on the website, but it just goes to a dead line. But the table indicates that it's £200. So, but there is a reduction for council to £100, but I don't know if that would apply, and so I was seeking clarification on that. But there is that.
If you phone the main line, then they will probably put you through to a line that does actually work.
I think we might have to ask the town council if we can have a budget, for that £2,000, we can just do it, without having to come back to a monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Or even £5,000, because at the moment it's quite a lot of work, like repair work we're doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than making that always miss a month, something be gone then, wouldn't it? I think if we could have a budget to do small stuff.
Yeah.
There is a budget already,
Yeah.
£7,000.
But we have to go and get permission all the time to do it though, don't we? Or can we just ask you to get a contract and say we've got that tender with 3 tenders and you appoint the
It
person.
might be better to stipulate what we want to use that budget for and maybe come up with a list of things.
Yeah.
Because I think at the moment that's probably just covering council tax and.
If we do a list of what we want to spend, how much it's going to cost, or 3 quotes for each individual thing, give it to 4 council and they go, yeah, no, and at least you've got 5 out of 6 to say, yeah, you can do it. So
So we could go and get the planning officer, wouldn't we?
I think if the money's going to a council, you can't get 3 quotes, from
No.
Dover planning.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Try a different
Be
council,
interested
but more.
Give some idea of it though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it raised an interesting point, the thought in my mind is that if we were to go for change of use, would council tax at the moment, which is over £2,000 a year, be payable on it as a council property because it is council owned? But then, the only reason we wouldn't want to do that is if we think we're going to sell it. Because,
Yes.
I mean, if we done change of use and it went to change and we changed the use of it, surely it'd go from council tax to business rates, wouldn't it?
And the small businesses aren't paying rates, are they, at the moment?
You have
Well,
a period of time
Change
to keep their properties empty when they give you a 6 months or a year or something, you get free.
But if one's for a charity, business rates won't be payable. 80% of business rates.
Oh, so that's
Be a
good.
discount, yes. Yeah.
And when the charity, if we do have building with VAT, can we claim the VAT back? We're not paying VAT. So let's pay VAT.
You have to pay VAT.
Yeah. But if the building's still in the name of Sandwich Town Council, then we won't get that charity discount.
No, okay, no.
No.
Not until it's in the name of
No,
the
only when
charity.
it's
No,
named
because we can still a charity.
Yeah.
So that was one of the items that Colin Wiles raised. The other thing is that I contacted Dover Heritage and Conservation because the site has got a section of the old town wall running across it.
Well, it's in perfect condition.
And I got an automated reply. I got a reply to say that they would contact me in the next few days, and they haven't done that, so I can follow up on that.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, and then the other feedback was, you raised the point about a business plan at the meeting and a business case. Are you content with what we're doing at the moment?
I think yes, it all really sounds sensible. It's, as you said earlier, it's about making sure that we get the building blocks in place first. And it'd be good to see what demand there is out there, and I think, you know, expanding the potential users would be really helpful. So I think spreading it wide, I think it will develop a business case that makes it justified to keep the building, subject to the surveys and all the costs associated.
Yes, and the total amount of monies received from the executor and so forth, type of thing, and so that we can project the likely income and the likely cost. And you know, we also need to be sensitive to any impact that using it as a community hub would have on the revenue that comes in to the guild.
And I think also one of the aims of the charity is not just to maintain the bungalow, but it's to help, because you love music, is to support music, either events or even artists or concerts, you know, like in St Mary's Church. So which would be fantastic, because she really loved
Yes.
and then like the Jubilee Centre, she loved the youth club.
Yeah.
So,
Music and
so we
dance.
to give a grant, demonstrate to you know, when we get the finance straightened out, the ability to grants to sandwich society or sandwich people, really individual. Someone might want and to purchase an instrument or something, might they look at the school?
Yes,
They
because
might be
Georgina would definitely have been doing that sort of thing,
Yeah,
and
she
she's
would
done it
have
in the
done.
past,
Yeah.
so,
Maybe individual grants.
albeit very quietly, but she used to do all sorts of things like that.
Can I just flag up one stakeholder group that hasn't been mentioned is the residents. So we've got a few who actually live on Strand Street and are very supportive, but that isn't the totality of the people that live close by. So it would be really sensible to communicate with those people early on, just to make them aware to avoid the rumour mill going off in negative directions. Is actually keeping people informed is important, because if not, it will just come out at the planning stage, any requests going in. So let's try and engage with the residents who are close by, just make them aware what's happening.
You mean like the man next door?
Well, he's here.
People across the road.
I totally agree, because there are people, you know, who would prefer to see the house sold or the bungalow sold, so that it's not a community centre where people are coming at all hours and all times and stuff like that.
I think we have limits on, you know, how late it be, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand, but nevertheless,
Nothing after 10 o'clock or something like that.
understand, but nevertheless, there are people who have mentioned that to me.
People are always, whatever you do, people
Yes.
can moan. You're always going to get,
And that's,
even if they live on the other side of the town, they're going to moan, why have we got it this side?
but it,
They were moaning about the water park, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's miles away from everyone.
I went down the main, people were moaning, they live on, I'd say, off the Ridgeford Road. They live below the railway line, couldn't even dicky bird.
So the water park's a really good example where actually there is a request at the moment in terms of mobile and static caravans. Only yesterday, because I have had a conversation with some residents who live in one of some of these, and there's quite a groundswell of opinion against what's happening there, and I don't think it's about people moaning. I think it's impacting on their life in terms of their enjoyment of life. The noise that does come from there, particularly on still silent evenings, can be excessive. So it's important to recognise residents have all different views, and if we communicate and if we're clear, at least what they can have in front of them is a clear set of information.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Agree, absolutely.
Yeah, we may probably have to, as I say, have a time, so it won't be nothing like up to midnight, anything like midnight. It'd just be like, 10 o'clock. It'd just be small groups. Hopefully people learn the English instrument.
So we don't want after parties from any events at St Mary's Centre, do we?
Oh, going up there, locking. Okay, so we go back to the, I think we've done 7 now, haven't we? Yeah. I think we've done 8 now, haven't we? I was going to say, number 9, cooperative members. I have got another person that's interested, Lester Thompson. He's a retired deputy head of Manwoods, and he knows he's got very good contacts, with all the local schools. So if we're using it for educational purposes, he's willing to come on as a co-op-tee. Do you know Lester?
I don't know. Well, I probably do, but I'm not very good at knowing people's names.
Do you know where the end of the butts is?
Oh yes, yeah.
He lives down there.
Oh yeah.
Where does he live?
Down the Ash Road, the butts.
Yeah.
He lives just down there.
Oh, right.
So he's quite local as well.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's how it is. He's got contacts with the schools and
Yeah.
Would that be particularly within, for example, the stage that we're going to go through, which is getting interests back? Would he add value to that?
Yeah, for the educational reasons, yeah.
And communicating with the neighbours.
And
Yeah.
communicating,
yeah.
Well, also, because I did, one of the things I was talking about, Manwoods used to have a army cadets. They still army cadets. They had an army cadet band, didn't
Yes.
they? And every time we had a civic occasion, like the Mayor's Sunday, and Remembrance, they used to supply a band. And what happened was, a lot of the children, the older children, taught the younger. Mainly, like Bridge on the River Choir or Dam Busters theme tune. But they did that, and then they had someone left. So they might come. If we could sort of sponsor a music teacher just for a little while, perhaps we get they've all the instruments at Manwoods and get the Manwood band back.
Yeah, well, it expanded about 2 years ago when we separated up for the lights for the last year. We asked, requested, and I said no, there's no longer a band anymore.
No, they need someone to. That's just the thing, isn't it? If they applied for a grant, for a music teacher,
From Georgina's.
and then they for the civic as well. Yeah.
So what's the proposal? You're proposing that we invite Lester along to the next meeting?
Yeah. Well, to the full as a town council, all that's going to be confirmed as a town council. So I'd like him to be confirmed at the next
Right,
council.
he's willing to serve.
Yeah, it's lovely guy. And then we're going to talk about someone from Gaze and Salt report, to whoever their names, aren't we?
Well, I think for the time being, we've probably got enough people on the group to keep it as a working group, otherwise it'll
We'll just get too big.
Chair, can I just raise something I alluded to under any other business? It's not on the, I think it's on the agenda, but Georgina, in her will, she did say that if there is, I've got a will here, let me read it out. She did say that time taken to deal with it could be charged. And I just would like to suggest that any time that the staff, the council staff are involved in is charged. It says any executor of mine who's engaged in a professional in profession shall be entitled to be paid fees for work done by him or his firm if he were one of my executors, but had not been employed to act on their behalf. So she kind of made provision for the executors and others to charge.
I think town council more or less.
That only applied to executives.
Executives.
It doesn't apply to other people. Because basically executives aren't allowed to charge unless there's a specific provision in the will allowing them. Similar with trustees
Yeah.
of a charity can't charge unless there's a specific. It only refers to executives.
But I think we all recognise that her kindness has imposed a lot of extra work on council.
On
The council staff here.
I think there'd be a charge, wouldn't there? Maybe your time will be charged on Maddox. No.
No, I mean, my charge is charged,
Between yourself and the toll bridge.
Sandwich Town Council and Sandwich County Fund, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so maybe a matter for discussion at another time.
Yes.
Yeah.
There may be a way whereby if there's a charity involved, then the charity could, like the toll bridge fund, if we have a charity, the council could probably charge, you could apportion part of your time to the Georgina request as well. And I don't think at the moment we
No.
can do that.
No.
Okay.
So, I don't think we can do that.
Okay.
Any other things? Okay. Item 10. Date and time, place next meeting to be confirmed. So I think I'll wait after the council meeting, see what happens, and
Okay.
after our meeting with the surveyor, the architect.
So are you happy if I write up some notes from this meeting this week and we use that as the report that goes to council next week?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Instead of writing minutes of the meeting and then a report to council to combine it as
Yeah, I
one.
think Cameron can do
Will
it.
you email that around so?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'll try
Okay.
and get that done tomorrow. So that, and I think because the deadline is on Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
So week Monday,
It's a-
week Monday council meeting.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. It's a good meeting, isn't it?
Cool. Deadline.
The